I want to welcome everybody. I am Lisa Torgerson. I am the Director of Leisure Travel Services for Travelex International. And I am proud to introduce one of our partners for the US and Canada and Caribbean. His name is Norman, and he is a great partner, and he's going to take us on a couple of road trip journeys. So hopefully you'll get a lot out of this. And Norman, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. My name is Norman Einbinder, and as mentioned, I am the CEO of a company called Excursionist. We were founded about 10 years ago, and we're based in Miami, but we have a team all over the US, Canada, and the Caribbean. And we are a tour operator that focuses on unique experiences and customized luxury journeys all over North America. We've been working for Travelex for a long time, and we're close partners, and we're very excited to tell you a little bit about what we're doing with the future of travel this summer and beyond here in the US and in Canada and in the Caribbean. What we have created is a new product line called On the Road Again, sort of similar to the Willie Nelson song. We're all trying to get back on the road, and everyone is excited about traveling again. And obviously, as some international destinations are not available, at least for this summer and this fall, a lot of travelers are looking for opportunities to go closer to home and still have great experiences in their backyards. So we are a company that really has expertise in that. I'll share a little bit in this slide about us and how we work, and then jump into some of these great road trips. And at the end, I'll leave some time for any questions from all of you about the trips and what we do. So as a company, as I said, we're based in Miami. We are 30 people in Miami, and then we have a team of drivers, guides, and experts all over the US, Canada, and the Caribbean, focused on unique experiences. We have unbelievable expertise on the ground in terms of having people on every destination that you would be traveling to who are there to be hand-holding and giving you an incredible experience. The second thing that really sets us apart is our bespoke experiences. So whether you want to go with a geologist behind the scenes in one of the national parks and learn about geology or paleontology, or if you want to go to a historic site and do an after-hours tour of the Old North Church or of a Civil War site, we have incredible, unique experiences all over North America. We're very focused on value, and that means value for money, meaning what you get with us is always the best rates, and best experiences, for your dollar. And then last but not least, it's 24/7 concierge support. What that really means is that throughout your journey, from the time you get on in your car or on the plane or wherever you're going, you will have someone who is dedicated to you, not just for emergencies, but for your full trip. And that's booking any dining reservations, helping you with planning for your trip, answering if you have any questions while you're on your journey. We're absolutely there 24/7 on the ground to help you throughout the trip. And obviously in this sort of uncertain times, that's more important than ever to have that kind of 24/7 concierge support to assist you with what you're doing. Obviously, something that's on everyone's mind right now is what is going on with COVID-19 and how that is affecting the travel industry. And we just want to upfront give everyone assurance that we are very much focused on safety and security in terms of how we deliver these unique road trips and these unique trips throughout North America. We've updated all of our policies and procedures, and as a company, Excursionist is part of the World Travel and Tourism Council and very much on the forefront of developing a safe travel protocol. And what that means is that in terms of the accommodations that we use, we are making sure that those accommodations have the strictest policies in terms of hygiene, in terms of physical distancing and dining outlets, in terms of employee training, touchless check-in, and making sure that rooms have time to recover between guests staying. So we are very much focused on that. Beyond that, in terms of the guiding and transportation services that we provide, whether it's rental cars or driver guides or tours on your trip, we are also making sure that guides and drivers are following all the policies and procedures: hand washing, mask wearing, physically distancing when possible, sanitizing vehicles and equipment constantly, and really making sure that we do all the things that will keep you safe on your journey. And most importantly, all of our trips have a flexible and worry-free cancellation policy. And what that means is that if you are to book a trip with us through Travelex, the deposit is 100% refundable until close to the time of travel. If you choose to cancel because you don't feel comfortable going before that time, then it's 100% refundable. If for any reason the resorts or any part of the trip is not doable because of government regulations or changes or restrictions, then we also provide a full refund. So it allows you to go ahead and book your trip now and feel comfortable doing that. The next thing I want to really talk about is some of our transportation options. There's a lot of different ways to see the US and Canada this summer and this fall and beyond. We do offer self-drives, and that can be in your own vehicle, and that can be in a rental. So either you're going to use your vehicle and you're going to follow one of our routes, and we're going to put together the whole route for you, including touring and special experiences, and you're going to use your vehicle, or we can arrange for a rental for you. That could be a regular rental agency like an Avis or an Alamo, or it could be with a very, a luxury agency where the car is dropped off wherever you want it dropped off, and you don't have to worry about anything. We also offer driver guided services throughout any of our trips. So if you don't want to drive and you want someone to drive you through the national parks, for example, we have fantastic drivers who can take care of everything for you. Obviously, some people are more interested now than before in private aviation because they may want to get to a certain destination and then drive from there and not have to use airports at all. We do have a full array of different private aviation options. It doesn't have to only be jets. It can be smaller planes and prop jets and prop planes as well. So we do have a lot of those options. One other thing that's becoming very popular and we're getting a lot of requests for are motorhomes. Motorhomes can vary in all sorts of shapes and sizes. We are able to arrange for these big, tour bus sized motorhomes for you. They're absolutely amazing inside. They have all of the luxuries. They have a bedroom with a door. They have a shower. They have, fantastic options in them. They can be quite large, and we can have those dropped at your home, or we can have a driver pick you up and have a driver throughout the journey. Obviously, the advantage of a driver is they take care of the hookups, the waste, all the issues, and they know how to drive a big vehicle. But if you do want to drive yourself, we definitely can offer that as well. The other kind of RVs that we offer are smaller, compact RVs that are easier to drive yourselves. Some of these are Mercedes Sprinters that have been converted. So they only have room for about 4 people, but they do have a bathroom, surprisingly, and they are very luxurious inside. And they're great for longer trips, and you don't necessarily have to sleep in them. They can be a great way for a family to go between a lot of long distances without having to stop all the time. The kids can sleep in the back. You have a bathroom, so you don't have to stop at rest areas, and you even have a kitchen. So if you want to have breakfast or other meals inside, you can. But it can be a source of transportation, not just a place to stay. And then we are offering all sorts of yacht and sailing charters this summer and this fall as well. So now let me move on to accommodation options. So, sorry about that. So we do offer a lot of different accommodation options that can obviously be a regular hotel. Obviously, right now, what we're seeing is a lot of desire for remote lodges. Those could be mountain escapes in Colorado. Those could be mountain lodges in British Columbia. Those can be, all over the U.S. and Canada. But these are remote lodges that are, far from the crowds. They have amazing scenery, amazing activities, and usually are quite small and intimate properties. We also have access to ranches, and these can be dude ranches, these can be more luxury-based ranches, but they usually involve cabins, they usually involve, cowboy activities or other things that you can do, horseback riding, etc. And we have those in places like Texas, British Columbia, Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Montana. And obviously you might have heard of Paws Up and Rancho Rock Creek as being some of those options, but we have a really large array of different ranches of different price points. The next thing that we do offer are tented camps. And this is glamping, but for people that want a hotel-like environment. So typically these types of camps are more permanent. They have electricity, they have plumbing, and they are more of a hotel-like tented camp. And they also range in prices from being, a couple of $100s a night to being very, very luxurious. And we can help you book those as part of your trip. We are doing more and more in terms of private homes and estates. Obviously now and more than ever, folks are looking for places that they can be completely private and away from everything. We only offer places that we have inspected and we know well, and we don't have a huge rental pool like some of the big rental companies out there. These are more places that we really know, and that you combine with other services like touring and having private chefs and other other options for your clients. And then obviously we work with lots of boutique properties. Just because you're going to a beach resort in Hawaii or in the Caribbean, it doesn't mean it has to be a huge property. There are plenty of properties that are 10, 15 rooms and very secluded. And then of course, charming inns and hotels that are smaller and more intimate for this summer and this fall. So those are the accommodation options that we have. The next one I want to talk about are private glam camps. And we've seen a lot of demand for these. These are really, really cool. And as you see at the bottom here, this is true camping, but it's really glamping. It's glamorous camping. And unlike the more permanent properties that I talked about before, where you've got wood platforms and they are more permanent and like hotels, our glam camps are completely leave no trace, set up just for you. So they are set up. They have tents. They have dining little areas. They have flushing compost toilets. They have hot showers. But this is camping. This is really nice camping, but this is truly in the wilderness. And these can be set up in almost all the national parks. And many of them you are actually with a permit inside the park, completely isolated with your family or with your group of friends. And then you are essentially there with your guides, having these incredible experiences under the stars just for yourselves. We can do these in Yellowstone, Zion, Canyonlands, the Grand Staircase, Monument Valley, Lake Powell, and the Grand Canyon North Rim. And it is important to note, as of the time that this is being recorded, that Yellowstone has opened up again, Zion has opened up again, Canyonlands is planned to be open at the end of May, and Lake Powell and Grand Canyon are opening as well. So we are very hopeful that we'll be able to offer these throughout the summer and into the fall. And these are an amazing experience for a family that wants a lot of privacy and a real camping experience, but with all the luxuries of a glam camp. The next slide is really to introduce our road trips. So these are itineraries that we've created for you to be able to really get out onto the open road. That can be on your own car, that can be in an RV, that can be with a driver, but these are all road trips that you can do. And I know that a lot of you watching are based in Chicago, and some of you are based in Florida and based in Georgia. So I'll talk about a variety of trips today, but we can always customize a trip that starts right at your doorstep and incorporates some of the areas that you are living near. In this case, I want to just feature a few of our itineraries, and then we can have you all see these in detail by sending them to you. The first one I'll talk about is the Southwest National Parks. Obviously, these are really popular parks throughout the summer and into the fall. The season really goes all the way up to November. This particular driving tour starts in Sedona and goes through the Grand Canyon, then up to Page with Antelope Canyon and Lake Powell, then up to Zion, Bryce, Canyonlands and Arches, then all the way up to go out of Grand Junction. Now, you can either fly into Phoenix and do this drive and then fly out of Grand Junction, or you can start in your own doorstep and drive here. I mean, obviously, the closest major cities are Phoenix, Vegas, Denver, and Salt Lake City. But if a client wants to pick up an RV at their doorstep and drive as quickly as they can, from where they live, maybe it's Chicago or maybe it's Florida, and get into the national parks and then do this trip and drop the RV and then fly back, that's possible. There's a lot of different combinations that can be done. This trip can be done self-drive, or it can be done with a driver guide. The next trip that I want to promote is the Badlands and Yellowstone. So that is a trip that starts in Rapid City, going to Mount Rushmore and Buffalo, the Wild West of Cody, and then into Yellowstone National Park, and then down into the Tetons and ending in Jackson Hole. This is a great trip for someone from Chicago who will drive first, to South Dakota, and then across and then end in Jackson Hole. And then you can turn around and drive back to Chicago, or again, you can do the flight. It really depends on your comfort zone. But it's a great trip that includes hiking. It includes Wyoming's, wild frontier history. It includes a float trip down the Snake River and lots of great activities. And again, can be done as a self-drive or as with a driver guide. The next trip is coastal New England. This is a great, vacation across the coastal towns of both Rhode Island, Cape Cod, Algonquin, Bar Harbor, and really focuses on that area. Again, this is something that you could fly into Boston and then do all the way and fly back from Maine, or it's a trip that you could drive to and then stay in New England for a while. The next trip is, I'm going to go fast past some of these, but kind of give you a quick overview. The next trip is the Maritimes. The Maritimes is a very undiscovered part of Canada. This is everything from Nova Scotia to Prince Edward Island to ending in Sydney. It's a great trip for lighthouses, lobstering, beautiful vistas. It's a very relaxed and beautiful drive that you can do on your own or you can do with a driver. It is quite far, obviously, for some clients. And it is an area that we expect will probably reopen up starting in July for trips. The next one is really Northern California. This is really focused on, starting in San Francisco and doing the Sonoma coast, going up to Lake Tahoe and then down to Yosemite, and then going back across to Monterey and Big Sur. Again, this is a great trip for a family. It's got hiking, it's got whale watching, it's got, experiences on the lake, on Lake Tahoe, foodie tours. So it's a great exploration for either a couple or a family in Northern California. Oregon is a great area for either a couple doing the Willamette Valley and wine region, and then going out to the adventure areas in Bend. Or it can be a great family destination as well, focused on adventure touring. This one is called Rocky Mountain High from Colorado to New Mexico. This is a great trip that starts in Denver and goes down into Colorado Springs, staying at lots of really great hidden ranches, doing a lot of adventure activities, and then down to Santa Fe. This is one that's actually particularly interesting for those that may be in Atlanta or in Chicago. This is really focused on the Deep South. Driving from Chicago, it really goes to Louisville, then Nashville, then Memphis, Natchez, and then New Orleans. Obviously, a little bit more city-based, but again, lots of great driving, lots of small towns along the way, amazing properties. And this one's really focusing on music, the Deep South culture, and great culinary experiences along the way. This is a really cool itinerary that we've created. This one is called Living Classroom Along the Appalachian Trail. Obviously, many of you have heard of the Appalachian Trail as being this incredible trail that goes from Georgia all the way up to Maine. Obviously, it's not for everybody to go on a backpacking and camping trip from across the Appalachian Trail. But as a family, you can drive following the Appalachian Trail all the way from, let's say, Atlanta and end in Maine. Or you can do a part of it. You don't have to do the whole thing. But if someone wanted to do the whole thing, it really focuses on history, nature, wildlife, and food. And you're really experiencing some of the most beautiful mountain escapes all through the eastern seaboard. You're stopping at the Great Smoky Mountains. You're stopping in Asheville with the Biltmore Estate and some of the really artsy stuff there. Then you're going up to the Blue Ridge Mountains and Charlottesville, which is a historical town with Thomas Jefferson's University and Monticello. You're going up to Gettysburg, to the National Battlefield there, and also the Amish country. Then up to the Poconos, the Hudson Valley, which has got great food and art. The Berkshire Mountains, which obviously has incredible arts and nature. The Green Mountains in Vermont, then the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and all the way up to Moosehead Lake in Maine. It's a long trip, but for those of you that have time to kill the summer with family, it's a great way to do some history and some outdoor adventure and to stay at some really beautiful luxury properties along the way. The second part of our itineraries are more focused on private air journeys. As I mentioned, we can charter everything from small propeller planes to larger planes for you if you're interested. We've got an itinerary called the U.S.'s National Parks by Private Jet. This is really, focusing on some of these parks that I talked about for the road trips, but getting to see a lot of them in a faster time by taking small private planes. And this is focused on Jackson Hole, Grand Teton, Yellowstone, Arches, Canyonlands, Bryce, Zion, Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell, and doing all of that in a very short period of 10 days with small planes. The next one that I want to talk about is Hawaii. Hawaii is a great destination. It is opening up, hopefully starting in July. It will not be as crowded as usual, and there's a lot of incredible ways to see Hawaii. It can be by private jet, but it can also be by commercial air. It's really easy to island hop between islands. And this particular itinerary is focused on the Big Island, Maui, and Lanai. The Big Island obviously is great for adventure tourism. You've got the volcanoes, you've got amazing snorkeling with manta rays, you've got incredible beaches. Combining that then with Maui, which is an adventure playground, very cultural with going to Hana and the road to Hana and doing a lot of marine activities and seeing turtles, hiking to the Haleakala crater, and then ending in Lanai, which is one of the most secluded islands in Hawaii with only 2 properties on the whole island and only 10,000 people living there. Lanai is a great place to end a trip at the Four Seasons there. Got a great beach, great activities, and a great place to be sort of more secluded. This again, trip can be done with commercial air as well. And we do see this coming back online in July. We do offer a lot of different options in Alaska. We can do self-drives in Alaska. We can do private driver guides in Alaska, or we can combine remote lodges by private plane. Alaska is more open than ever this summer because, because of what's going on, a lot of lodges have availability. If this was a typical summer, it would be pretty impossible to get into some of these lodges. So it's a great time to go. Everything in Alaska is opening up as of June 1st. And actually, the normal season in Alaska is quite short anyway. So it's right on time for the normal season, which is June through September. This particular itinerary has you doing a charter of a small boat where you get to be in Prince William Sound seeing glaciers, and then combines it with two more remote lodges, one that's a marine lodge in Kachemak Bay and one that is a more a mountain lodge where you're doing dog mushing and helicopter adventures. But we really do have a real range of product in Alaska, everything from, as I said, self-drive and more affordable to, very exclusive. And it's a great time to go to Alaska this year. The last itinerary I'm going to talk about in terms of the private air journeys is British Columbia. British Columbia will probably be opening up in mid-July to August. Again, a great time to have to go. This is a beautiful place to go that's similar to Alaska, but has very luxurious lodges for those that don't want to rough it as much as Alaska does. And again, great bear viewing, glaciers. If you're looking to socially distance, British Columbia has some of the most, wide open spaces, beautiful tiny lodges for you to experience. The last thing I'll note is that if you are looking to do a celebration or a retreat with your family or extended group of friends, this is, a time when people have missed out on weddings and on birthdays and are itching to do that again and maybe can't do that internationally. And we can arrange for a whole different host of private homes, private estates, private islands where you can do a celebration with your family or with your friends. So, the first one is a private island that you can have all to yourselves in the Bahamas. Great place to have a party or a family get together, experience swimming with pigs, remote sandbars, and that's a great experience. You can do a multi-generational family adventure in Maui, staying at your own estate, completely private, and do all sorts of great activities in Maui. You can go to Montana and stay at a fishing lodge and be completely isolated and visit Yellowstone and do fly fishing and hiking from your own remote lodge. And the last but not least, for some of you that are in the South, great place to go is the Low Country in South Carolina and Georgia. Get a private home there and do all sorts of great activities, yacht cruises, eco tours, biking, kayaking, shooting, and much, much more. So we've got that as another option for you as well. With that, I'm going to open it up for any questions, and then we can conclude. I will note that before we jump into questions that obviously please reach out to your Travelex advisor who can really talk you through all the options. Everything is customizable, and working through Travelex, you'll be able to get your full journey customized, whether it's an RV trip or a private island. They can help you with all of that. So thank you so much, and I'll let Lisa take over.
Yeah, so if you have a question, please type it in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll give those over to Norman, and he can answer them if he hasn't already answered all of your questions. But I'm sure some of you do have questions. We'll wait just a few minutes to let them type, Norman.
No worries.
Well, I think you did a good job. Nobody has any, oh, here, hang on a second. So one of the questions is, will we get a copy of the PDF? And the answer is yes. Norman has already forwarded it to us. So as a follow-up for all of those that you have attended, we will send that to your email. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us that way as well.
don't be shy. I mean, if you guys have questions about other, road trips to design from Chicago or from, Atlanta or Florida, we can customize a lot of different types of road trips, as I said. So it doesn't have to be one of these example itineraries. These are just examples for you to get you excited about different parts of the US and Canada. But, if you tell us that you have a certain amount of days and you want to, be back at this date and leave this day, we're happy to do that. And this is your chance to ask any questions about RVs or anything else about the national parks, what we see as reopening. Please ask away. I think we have a question.
We do have a question. I went in the Q&A box. So it says, what extra precautions are the houses and hotels taking that you are utilizing?
Absolutely, Madeline. Nice. Thank you so much for joining and your question. As I had mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we're taking safety and security very, very seriously around this issue of COVID, obviously. We are only working with properties that can provide us with clear guidelines of what they are doing to keep you safe on your journey. And for hotels, as I had mentioned, that is number one, ensuring that they have, touchless check-in, that, when you arrive, you feel comfortable that, you can arrive, you can get into your room without a lot of people being near you, that you're not touching a lot of, buttons, and that, everything is kind of there for you. I went and I've actually visited a hotel already to do an inspection, and they really had everything set up where you didn't have to touch anything and you could just arrive and go straight to your room. The other issue is really maintaining a lower occupancy so the rooms have time to breathe. So all of our partner hotels, when one client checks out, they're not bringing that room back up that same day and throwing someone else in there. They're taking the precautions to really deep clean it and then give it a day or two or three sometimes to actually rest and then have the next person check in. With dining, all of our hotel partners are, if the regulations are allowing in dining inside, that's obviously at a much lower occupancy. That is, with gloves and masks and all the proper hygiene, or that's, outdoor dining. And with, private homes and estates especially, they are doing a special hygiene and special cleaning after every client leaves. They are also leaving gaps between rental periods to make sure that, again, the house rests and that there's proper time for safety and security.
Perfect. I don't see any other questions, but what we can do, if you do, you can either email myself or your advisor, and we can get those over to Norman if we don't know the answers to those questions. But I do want to thank Norman for spending this time with us and sharing some road journeys, because I think this is where people, I think they're thinking they're going to go once they're able to travel. So I appreciate your time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, and please stay safe. And we are here for any questions that you have at any time. Looking forward to
Perfect.
Getting you on the road.
Yeah, me too. Okay, everybody have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Bye.